How's it going, guys? This is that really long OU match that I was telling you about. It's like 51 turns long, and honestly, it's a little more drawn out than it should have been, but you know, whatever. Anyways, this is a team that my friend Matt gave me. That's a Magma Storm Trapping Heatran, a Subcombine Keldeo, a Dual Powdering Amoonguss, Physically Defensive Skarmory, Stealth Rocking Pursuit Trapping T-Tar, and an Offensive Bulky Rapid Spinning Sandslash. And if you look at my opponent's team, he's got a really threatening team. I mean, he's got Sun for one, and two, most of the things on his team are naturally just going to be faster than things on my team. I don't actually have a Scarfer on this team. I have like a pseudo Scarfer in the form of Sandslash, but you know, that's only when the sand is up. But anyways, I figured he would most likely want to lead out with his Victini, just thinking, you know, that might be his Scarfer on his team. So I'm going to choose to lead out with my Heatran, predicting that. And as you can see from the team preview, he's actually going to choose to lead out with his Ninetales. I thought that was a little weird, just because, you know, if I did decide to lead out with T-Tar generally being slower than Ninetales, Sand would have been up, so I don't know, you know, whatever, to each his own. But anyways, like I said before, this is a Magma Storm Trapping Heatran, so I'm just going to go for the Magma Storm first turn, you know, trap it in there, because my other move on this thing is Earth Power, so I will be able to take down that Ninetales. But anyways, he's going to switch in his Gengar. I do miss the Magma Storm, which is kind of unfortunate. Definitely would have been able to get some big damage off on this thing, if not maybe one-shot it. But he's going to go for the Focus Blast. I'm actually going to predict him to go for the Substitute, and I was thinking maybe he might be Sub-Split or Sub-Disable, so that's why I went for Taunt there. But obviously, I don't want to take another Focus Blast because it's looking to be maybe a 2-hit KO or so. So I'm going to switch out into my Skarmory to take that, figuring it'd be able to take it a lot better. He's going to switch up moves here, go for Shadow Ball. He unfortunately gets the Spadef drop, which means, you know, I'm not going to want to stay in here and take a -1 Focus Blast. So I am going to switch out into my T-Tar this turn to get up the sand. And if you wanted to go for a Focus Blast, I do have a Chople Berry, and I know I could have taken it. Because, honestly, I'm playing around this Gengar rather poorly. Again, like I said from the beginning, the only thing I have faster than this thing is my Sandslash. So I was trying to get the sand up so I could bring my Sandslash in as well. But anyways, he's going to go for the Focus Blast here because I have a Chople Berry. I will be able to take that. And for some reason here, I thought he would switch. I don't know why. That's why I went for Pursuit. In hindsight, I should have gone for the Crunch. But, you know, hindsight is hindsight. So here, I'm going to switch. I'm going to go back into my Skarmory. I obviously don't want to take another Focus Blast, and I figure Skarmory would be able to take it a lot better. But he shows right here that he has Destiny Bond, and I was honestly not expecting that, because I thought at this point, you know, after showing 3 moves, he was probably like sub 3 attacks or something like that. But anyways, I predicted him not to go for the T-Bolt because the switch to Sandslash was kind of obvious, so that's why I kept my Skarmory in here, and unfortunately he does go for the obvious move, which is T-Bolt. So, you know, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I really didn't need Skarmory this whole match anyways, as you're going to see later. But I'm going to bring in my Sandslash now, go for Stone Edge, because my other 2 moves on the Sandslash actually don't affect his Gengar. I have Rapid Spin and Earthquake as well. But he's going to bring in his Venusaur now. I obviously don't want to take a Giga Drain, so I'm going to switch out into my Amoonguss here, as he is going to predict a switch of some sort, and he is going to go for the Sleep Powder. And honestly, if this Amoonguss was asleep this whole battle, it would have been a lot harder than it, than what it is going to be already, because as you're going to see in a few, Amoonguss is on this field quite a bit this battle. So anyways, he's going to switch out here. He's going to go into his Gliscor, as I'm just going to stay in. You know, I kind of wanted to find out if he had HP Fire or if he was carrying Earthquake, because I know some Venusaurs tend to carry Earthquake for Heatrans and whatnot. But, like I said before, he just switches into his Gliscor. I thought this was a little weird, because if he is the Toxic Stalling set, there's really not a whole lot he can do to me. I mean, Earthquake won't be doing that much, and with Regenerator, I can just kind of switch out whenever I want to. So he ends up going for Sub here, and then he starts going for Swords Dances, and at this point, I was like, oh no, offensive Gliscor. So, again, I'm just chilling in here, trying to scout out his set, see what he wanted to do. And I believe this turn, he ends up showing me he has Ice Fang and not Aerial Ace, which is kind of good, kind of bad. Kind of good in the sense that, you know, there's not Stab, and he won't be able to hurt my Amoonguss that much. But kind of bad because, you know, it's still Ice Fang, which means he can hit other things on my team like Sandslash. So anyways, I wake up this turn, go for Giga Drain, and the good news here is that it's actually strong enough to break his subs, which means he can't keep subbing down and whatnot. So, knowing that he is going to switch out, he's going to go into his Venusaur, as I'm just going to make the safe play and go for the Giga Drain, because, you know, big threats, you either want to phase them out or take them out. You know, you don't screw around with those things. So here, again, I still really wanted to know if this thing had HP Fire or or Giga Drain still, but I figured he was most likely going to go for the Sleep Powder again, you know, because he's realizing this Amoonguss is kind of going to be a nuisance to his team. So I'm going to switch out into my Tyranitar here as Sleep Powder, just kind of figuring, you know, T-Tar's not going to have a whole lot of opportunity to do things on this, in this battle, I should say. Terrakion can definitely be a threat to it. Victini, if it has Brick Break, can definitely be a threat to it, this thing. So, anyways, I'm just going to pull a double here into my Amoonguss, knowing he really can't do a whole lot to me, as he is just going to go for the Giga Drain, thinking I would stay in. And as you can see, that doesn't do anything to me because I quad resist, and I'm an Amoonguss, so I'm pretty bulky. So, here, I believe, again, I really wanted to know if he had HP Fire or not. I keep emphasizing that because my Heatran is going to be the best thing for this thing. So I am going to switch into my Keldeo here to scout it out. Kind of a risky play, as he does show me right here he does have HP Fire. So I can pretty much bring in my Heatran whenever I want and just kind of walk all over this thing. So here, I figured because I now know he has HP Fire, I figured he would predict me to go into Heatran, you know, predicting that. So I was thinking, okay, he's probably going to go into his Gliscor. So that's why I went into my Amoonguss here to take on his Gliscor. But he ends up staying in, he ends up going for the Giga Drain. So, I mean, good move on his part. Is just, I figured he would have thought me to bring in my Heatran, but, you know. So here, I kind of figured I don't want this Venusaur running around in the sun, because at this point it's kind of registering in my head that this thing can kind of become a threat if he does get rid of my Heatran. So he's going to go for an HP Fire here. I know I can take those pretty well because of my spread, and I'm going to go for a Stun Spore. I unfortunately missed, but as you're going to see later in the battle, that really won't matter. So I believe this turn, he chooses to switch out. Yes, I believe he goes into his Ninetales, as I am going to go for the Spore because, again, I kind of realized that, you know, Venusaur is going to be a problem to my team. And, you know, his Ninetales comes in and sponges the Spore. And now, these next couple turns, he makes some very crucial errors, I would like to say. I'm going to switch out here. No, first I'm going to go for the Stun Spore, predicting him to pull a double into his Venusaur, because, you know, Venusaur in the sun, scariest thing in the metagame, I believe. But anyways, now I'm going to go into my Heatran, as he's going to choose to stay in, and he's going to go for an Energy Ball. He probably most likely predicted my T-Tar switch, which makes sense, you know, to get up the sun, sand and whatnot. But here, he makes a very, very bad play, and he chooses to stay in. I really don't know why, because Ninetales can't do a whole lot to a Heatran to begin with, as I'm going to go for the Magma Storm. Thankfully, I hit it, and now this Ninetales is trapped in here. And my other move on this thing, as I think I've said before, is Earth Power. And if a resisted Magma Storm, even though it is in the sun, did that much, I'm definitely thinking an Earth Power will be enough to take this thing out, which is going to, you know, help me a lot, because now I don't have to worry about Venusaur being in the sun, being really fast. I don't have to worry about Victini, you know, coming in and V-creating things to death. So, by getting rid of this Ninetales, I've essentially finally got my edge against his team, because in the beginning it was really lopsided, and he definitely had the advantage. So, go for Earth Power, take that thing out, and that is basically the Weather War. All I have to do is bring in my Tyranitar whenever, and I should be able to go from there. So that is exactly what I do here, because, you know, he brings in Terrakion. I'm going to assume he's most likely going to go for the close combat. So I just wanted to fodder off my T-Tar here. He can safe switch into maybe my Amoonguss or my Keldeo. But he ends up going for Stone Edge. I think he predicted me to maybe bring in Amoonguss, which makes sense, but I don't really need T-Tar anymore. So I'm going to pull a double here because he did bring in his Gliscor. I'm going to go into my Amoonguss, as he is just going to go for the Earthquake here. And I just did not want this thing setting up subs, going for Swords Dances, because this thing is going to become could become a major problem, I should say. But anyways, he's now going to start to choose to set up substitutes. I don't really know as to why. He saw before that my Giga Drain can break his sub. Maybe he was hoping on damage rolls there or something, but, you know, just go for Giga Drain, break his sub. And I believe he goes for a sub here again. And I can understand as to why, because I play this way sometimes, just because, you know, you think, okay, now they're going to switch out kind of thing. But, again, I don't want this thing setting up, because this thing can become a huge problem for my team. So I'm going to stay in yet again, go for another Giga Drain, and break his sub. And I've pretty much got back up to full now. So that's a nice thing, you know, I don't have to worry about him maybe trying to chomp down with an Ice Fang or something like that. But he is going to choose to switch out here, and he is going to go into his Victini. as I'm just once again gonna go for the Giga Drain. And he does a great job this whole match bluffing the Scarf on this thing, because as you're gonna see later, he's not Scarfed. So obviously, I don't want to take a V-Create, I don't want to take a Zen Headbutt if he has it, or a Sidekick maybe if he's mixed or something like that. So I am going to switch out, go into my Heatran here, as he does make the good play, and he's just going to go for the U-turn. And I believe he U-turns out into his Terrakion, if I remember correctly. Yes, he does U-turn into his Terrakion. And now the thing is that this Heatran has Protect, actually. So, I'm going to go for the Protect here to see what he wants to lock himself into. But he ends up going into his Victini here. I guess he was thinking I would go back into my Amoonguss, which makes sense, but you know, like I said before, I have Protect. I could have scouted. So anyways, he brings this thing in. I am going to go for the Protect here, you know, to see what he wants to lock himself into, because at this point, I'm still thinking he's Scarfed. He chooses to, quote, lock himself into Fusion Bolt, or Bolt Strike, I should say. Whoops. And I thought me switching to Sand Slash was obvious. So, I think I stayed in here. No, I did not. He switches out into his Gliscor, as I'm going to switch out into my Sand Slash. Okay, I did play that obvious. Sorry, guys. This is a long match, and I haven't seen it in a while. Anyways, I'm going to switch out on my Sand Slash. I obviously don't want to take an Ice Fang, and I really can't do much to it back. So I'm going to switch out into my Amoonguss, as he's going to go for a Substitute. And again, we know Giga Drain can break the subs, so I'm not worried about staying in and taking an Ice Fang, because as you saw at +2, it barely brought me down to half, so at no boost and no stab, it's probably not going to do that much. It does about maybe 25%, 20%, something along those lines. But anyways, go for Giga Drain here. Got to break that sub, because again, this thing is still a massive problem. And here, I figured because the last time I kept constantly Giga Draining him, I figured most likely this turn, he's going to want to switch into his Venusaur to sponge that. So I'm actually going to predict the Venusaur switch, and I am going to go for the Spore here, as I do predict correctly. His Venusaur is asleep, so that is... This right here is essentially what is going to win me the battle, because now that this thing is asleep, all I've got to do is go for a couple HP fires here with my Amoonguss, and I should be able to bring in my Keldeo sometime, set up a sub, get one Calm Mind up on this thing as he brings it in, predicting me. And I should be able to sweep with my Keldeo at this point. So, like I said before, I do need a little bit of damage on this thing, so I am going to go for my first HP fire here. Does about a third, give or take, which I was actually kind of surprised about, because I know Venusaur has pretty respectable natural special defenses. So, he stays asleep here, thankfully. I will be able to now fire off a second HP fire here. Get a little more damage in on this thing. And at this point, he's looking to be around, you know, like a quarter or so. So I'm thinking as long as I can get a Calm Mind up with my Keldeo, Surf should be able to KO him, just judging from the damage how much this uninvested HP fire is doing to him. So anyways, here he's going to opt to switch out. He's going to go into his Gliscor, predicting the HP fire, as I am, again, just going to go for the HP fire, because I just wanted to get as much damage off on that Venusaur as possible, because that was pretty much the only thing stopping me from sweeping with Keldeo at this point. So here, I am going to predict the Victini switch, and I am going to switch into Keldeo. I thought I didn't have damage on me yet, so I thought I'd be able to come in, you know, bluff the Scarf. But I had forgotten that I had taken like some Sandstorm damage or something earlier, so I do have damage, so when I come in here, he will be able to see the leftovers. And again, he's just doing a fantastic job at bluffing the Scarf here. So, you know, obviously, I thought it was super obvious for me to go on to Sand Slash predicting the Bolt Strike, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my Heatran predicting him to go for like the V-Create or something like that. But again, he just outright goes for Bolt Strike, and my Heatran ends up taking a Bolt Strike to the face. Which, now because I've got that Venusaur down at a low amount of HP, Heatran's looking to kind of be like maybe the next most useless thing on my team. So I think I stayed in here as fodder, just kind of, you know, thinking maybe he would go for it again. But he goes into his Gliscor again, as I went for an Earth Power, just in case, you know, for whatever reason, maybe he switched out. But, I don't want this thing, again, setting up, because, you know, I'm paralyzed now and whatnot. So I think I still stayed in here and went for Magma Storm, just in case that did happen. But he's just going to go for a flat-out Earthquake and take me out. And this is the opportunity I was waiting for. Now, because my Heatran has been foddered out, I can safely bring in my Keldeo. I can get up behind a sub, and he is actually going to bring in his Venusaur here. And this thing is just basically an essential free Calm Mind, because I'm behind a sub. Because of the new sleep mechanics, he's guaranteed at least one turn of sleep. So I know this turn I can safely go for a Calm Mind and not have to worry about him waking up. So that is exactly what's going to happen here. Gonna go for a Calm Mind. And at this point, Keldeo sweeps his entire team. There is nothing on his team that can take either of my Dual Stab because this Keldeo is only running Surf and Secret Sword. So this turn, I am going to go for a Surf here, and that is enough to take out this Venusaur this turn. And geez, so many after turn effects still. All the Sandstorm and the leftovers, my goodness. Anyways, Surf, take out the Venusaur. Good thing, and yeah, from this point out, not to spoil it or anything, but it's basically a Keldeo sweep. So, Sandstorm, more after turn effects, my goodness. He's going to bring in his Victini, and right here is where we learn he's actually not Scarf, and like I said, he did a fantastic job of bluffing it this entire match. So, go for Surf here, definitely enough to take out the Victini after +1, and I believe now he brings in his Terrakion, if I remember correctly, and I don't know if he's like Choice Scarfed or if he's like another bluff item or maybe Choice Banded, but this Quick Attack doesn't even break my sub, which I was kind of surprised about. But it doesn't matter anymore because I'm just going to go for a Surf. I'll be able to take out that Terrakion because I'm at +1, and even though he's in +1 the Sand, they cancel each other out, so it's like a neutral hit. So take out the Terrakion, and all he has left at this point is his Gliscor because Keldeo is faster. And because I've got Surf and other strong moves to hit him with, I will be able to take him out with a Surf. And that is going to make the match in my favor. So yeah, good game, TPCPro. A lot of awkward plays on both of our part, definitely. Some stupid plays, some over-predicting on my part, a lot. Well, that's just how I played this game. Anyways, oh my goodness, this match was so long to narrate. But I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, I think that's it. I got a bunch of other stuff backed up. So, yeah, we're going to be set to go for the week. And that will be all. So, bye, guys.